One thing I noticed a few months ago is that Target no longer carries skateboards, which isn't that surprising. I think the more surprising thing are the things they actually do carry instead, which shows that these either have a higher profit margin, I'll get into more details as to why a little bit later, or that they're just bought more, which kind of blows my mind. This video is also sponsored by Squarespace. It's the best website for building websites. More on that later. So right here we have electric bikes, we have tricycles, we have classic bikes that have probably been here for decades. Of course, you have all the sports ball stuff, which totally makes sense. Basketballs, footballs, baseball, especially in Texas here. Sports are very popular. You have the bikes all up here. I swear there used to be more as well. And then you just have this one row of alt athletics or extreme sports. You have roller skates, rollerblades, scooters, lots of electric scooters as well, which I feel like is becoming massively popular. Here in Texas, there's a lot of electric scooters and bikes and dirt bikes and things people drive around the area we live. And that's just what's sort of dominating. Now, let's get into why. Now, a lot of people are making videos about the downfall of skateboarding, including myself, but the last video I uploaded about it did do pretty well, so apparently people are interested in it. The truth is, I don't think skateboarding is doing as bad as we think, maybe. I think it's always struggled a lot, but I think it's actually especially doing well in a lot of other countries. I think Japan right now, skateboarding is really having a moment. I think it's just America in general where it feels a little stagnate, which is strange because it's such a American, California type activity or sport. So the culture of America is shifting in a way to where it's just a little less appealing than it used to be. But I have 5 reasons, I actually wrote them down, of why I think Target is no longer carrying skateboards. Maybe I'll play some footage over here as well of me actually testing out Target skateboards because I have multiple times on this channel. It might look like I'm having normal, easy sessions, but if the skateboard is less than $30 or so, it's a struggle for anyone to ride them because the bearings are bad. The skateboard deck itself feels more woody, like clunky wood that can break really easily. I've had a lot of bad experience with Target boards. So maybe we're part of the reason Target is no longer carrying boards because we make videos complaining about them all the time. Number one is probably seeing how dramatically the numbers of skateboarders changed after the pandemic was over. When people were stuck inside and they wanted something to do, a lot of people actually got really into old activities that they used to do, things that used to fulfill them and that they loved. And I think there's actually a way bigger conversations in terms of COVID to have about this, why people sort of reverted back to their people might have gotten more into illustration or drawing or coloring or things that they did as kids. And I think skateboarding was a huge part of that. So a lot of people reached out to me as well. And a lot of skateboarders on YouTube actually got way bigger numbers during COVID as well. It became really popular. And ultimately, this is actually what really, really hurt the skate industry because a lot of skateboard companies overstocked. And then once COVID ended and everybody kind of quit skateboarding and moved on with their lives, now all these companies had so much stock to sit on. I don't think Target was someone who dealt with this. Target, they can have a million extra of whatever and still be fine, but they probably just saw the amount of skateboards they sold significantly less after COVID and just thought, okay, well, if nobody's into skating, if it's dying, then why carry it? When maybe all the numbers of their other products stayed somewhat consistent. Number 2, I think big stores like Target also prioritize profit as much as they can. They're going to have less profit than smaller shops just because they can carry so many of things that they can afford to have a smaller profit margin. But I think skateboarding probably in the long run, if you're selling $15 skateboards, I can't imagine their profits for those boards being more than $1 or $2. And I think if you have a $15 product where the profit margins are that low, then it's going to be hard to justify it to anyone in the upper ups. And this is also why skate shops suffer so much, is because the profit margins within skateboarding, skateboard hard goods especially, they're so small. And what I think is really funny is as I moved through life and learned a little bit more about business, I learned that even merchandise like clothing and t-shirts, they have a pretty bad profit margin. You're not making twice as much off of what you sold. So if you buy a shirt for $10, you should at least be able to sell it for $20. You should be able to make what you spent back. And I learned that in business, even merchandise is a pretty small profit margin. It's not very good. But in skate shops, they used to always say, oh yeah, like we make most of our money on soft goods, which is t-shirts, etc. And I'm like, That's so funny that in a skate shop, selling a t-shirt is a really high profit margin compared to all the other hard goods, trucks, wheels, skateboard decks, etc. Number 3, Amazon exists. I think just in general, Amazon is there and you can get all the reviews you want. It's the easiest shopping experience in the world. I think we all know that. Shout out to Amazon, am I right, guys? No, I'm just kidding. But it's just the easiest thing to use. So even places like Target that used to seem like the most convenient place to shop aren't as convenient. And I think Target, I'm not sure if Target itself is becoming a marketplace online, but Walmart definitely is, to where people can sell stuff through the Walmart shopping experience. So you can still technically buy a lot of stuff through Walmart, including skateboards. But if you go into the actual stores themselves, I'm not sure if Walmart carries them. So I even think that going to the store in general nowadays is a bit harder, especially when shipping is essentially free for a lot of these products as well. On Amazon, you get it the next day or in a few hours. I think it's killing a lot of business in general in places like Target, but I can't imagine anyone who wants to buy a skateboard going to a Target over just shopping on Amazon. Even though the best way is to buy from a skate shop, like your local skate shop, which so many have shut down now that I think most people in most places probably don't even know about their local skate shop or know if they have one. So my recommendation to anyone out there who wants to support and put money back into the industry, which nowadays sounds so weird to say. Like when I was younger, it felt very normal to say that, like put money back into the industry. But I feel like nowadays it's kind of hard maybe to exist a bit more nowadays. And I think back then there wasn't as much stress and you could think about things like shopping local and helping out. And I'm maybe in a privileged situation where I think I still can think about those things. But I feel like most people are really like, man, I'm struggling just to get by. I don't have time to do all this and this and this. I'm just gonna go on Amazon and buy a deck, and I totally understand it. I mean, I totally get it. But if you do have the time, if you do want to be more impactful to the community and maybe more good overall, then yeah, look up local skate shops. Before we get to the last two, I do want to mention Squarespace, which is the sponsor of this video. I've been using Squarespace since way before they ever sponsored me. It's the easiest website to build websites. They have award-winning templates you can choose from. The design now, they have AI incorporated, so now it's just like, I want a shop part of this homepage, and it's like, boom, pops up, looks beautiful. And then now if you do want to start a shop or a online business and you've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, you can start so simply using Squarespace, because they work with this company called Printful, and they have every type of merchandise you could possibly want, like t-shirts and whatever. And all you need to do is place the design on the shirt, and then they'll even provide pictures of models wearing it, all of that through Printful, and then they connect with Squarespace. So then like now you can just have a website with all your information. It has a store on there, it has all your designs. So especially if you're like a creative person who does designing and illustration, I would recommend 100% starting. Just like you can have product up in the next like 2 hours if you really hunker down. But they also have courses as well. So if you have like a skill you want to sell, maybe like cooking or fitness or anything like that, you can actually do all that through your website as well, where you can upload the videos to your website. You can have a paid wall where people come in and you say, you know, pay 20 bucks or whatever, and you have full access to the entire library. It's really cool. Check it out, link in the description down below to get 10% off your first purchase or domain, or go to squarespace.com/JohnHill for that same offer. Number 4, this is just speculation. I'm not sure if this is factual, but I would assume that big box stores probably see skateboarding as more dangerous than the other stuff. When I was in the store today, I did notice that the scooters, they have handlebars, right? You're much safer with a handlebar. Bikes, same thing. You know, roller skates are like way safer than a skateboard. Roller skates are connected to your feet, so it's easier to get adjusted very quickly. Skateboard takes time. I've seen people step on skateboards and literally fall right away and break bones. Skateboarding has always been correlated with danger culture, first of all. It's a dangerous activity, period. That's what it is. There's no, like, people will be like, oh, wear a helmet. And I'm like, yeah, you could, but you could also not skate. You know, there's a million ways to make skateboarding safer. The ultimate way to make it safest is to not do it at all. So you kind of have to take your own personal precautions. It's like, okay, do you go street skating because you could run into a rock? Do you stay in skate parks? Do you skate vert and then wear full pads? You know, there's a lot of ways to make skating safer or better. And I would say that each one of those factors almost makes it sort of like essentially feel like a different sport to people. That's why so many people don't wear helmets, because to them, the sport of skating is the danger aspect of it. And yes, that danger can lead to them having brain damage or dying. These are possible things that can happen, but to a lot of people, certain sports, it's worth taking that action. It's like surfing as well. I mean, if you're not a good swimmer, you can drown. There's a lot of sports and activities that can actually kill you, but the point of them is the danger, I guess. Anyways, that's a whole different conversation about that. But also, I think skateboarding can be correlated with not just danger in terms of physical whatever, but also like kind of like dangerous in general in terms of feeling maybe like rebellious against what feels like the cultural norms around you. It's a totally isolated sport. It's something that breaks the law a lot of times if you skate certain spots. And I think when this realization came to me is when I started to upload YouTube videos, and so many people were like, oh my God, I love what you do, I love what you do, I love what you do. And then I would make something more obvious, like all these street spots I'm skating, I'm not allowed to skate here. You know, there's signs that say no skateboarding. And when I would point that out, people would go, whoa, they'd start getting like, you can't do that. And I realized that sort of the essence of what skating is actually lost on, I think, the majority of people who even watch my videos. They're kind of like, whoa, now you're kind of doing something that's sort of illegal-ish. And I'm like, I've been doing that, all my videos, forever, since I was 10 years old. And the reason you do it is because it's kind of silly that it's illegal in a lot of places like a public park where you're not gonna hurt anyone or run into anyone. To me, I think skateboarding culture used to represent sort of this thought beyond what we were told. You look at society and they say, I know this sounds very like annoying to a lot of people, but I think this is sort of the skateboard soul. The essence is being like, oh, I should go to college, I should do this, I should do this. Well, let me rethink that. And with my skateboard community, it was very easy to kind of see beyond a lot of rules. So if you go to a public park and no one's there, and you're like looking around, you're like, all this land, and I'm not allowed to like play with my little toy in the corner, but these people can do this, these people can do this, these people can do this. And you realize the law was sort of more about attacking what was the essence of skating, which is sort of this rebellious thing by nature. That was the ideal. And then you realize, oh, like the laws against skateboarding was sort of the laws against the ideals of what skateboarding represents rather than the actual act itself. And I think to me, it was about trying to discern that belief, but also I just think skateboarders are really good at thinking more logically and critically about how the world works. I mean, that's sort of part of the culture, and that's part of punk culture in general. I think skateboarding has always been synonymous with that, and I think people may not think of me in that way, but I think people who know me maybe understand that that is the essence of my soul as well. I mean, I like it's good to think about the things that are told to you and try to think beyond them a bit and say like, well, is that rational? And not be critical to it, but just maybe, you know, use critical thinking. Lastly, before I actually try to maybe think of a solution for all of this, is I think people right now are just more focused on athleisure, athletics. And I think something like parkour, which isn't as popular as skateboarding, but something like rock climbing. Rock climbing is going to get you in great shape in general. Skateboarding might not change your physique at all. You kind of just get good at skating by skating. It teaches a lot of other life lessons, but really rock climbing will get you in shape. Like you will look buff, you will look strong, you will look physically attractive. There's sort of this beyond benefit to a lot of the other sports. And then something like rock climbing is so much safer. You go to a rock climbing gym, there's immediately a community built in. You can go to a skate park and no one might be there. You can go maybe take skate lessons and realize you're like one of maybe 3 kids. You know, there's a lot of times where skateboarding doesn't have as much of an innate culture as maybe that it used to. And I think the less of an innate culture that it feels like it has, obviously the less people are going to get into it, which is sort of the irony. But if you go to Japan, I feel like if you want to be a skateboarder, you should move to Japan because it seems like they have tons of clubs, tons of skate parks with tons of people. And I think right now, if America wanted like a rise or to fix it in a way, we might look at a place like Japan and kind of wonder, like we might almost idolize Japan's representation of skateboard culture that they've built through watching American culture. Like it's so funny how we can be inspired by the ones who are inspired by us. I think now we can sort of look to Japan and go, well, what are they doing with skating? And part of it I think is their non-apologetic approach to being skaters. Like when they become skaters, they are skateboarders, they dress the part, they do the part, and maybe that seems cheesy to some people, but it feels like a club. So when people see skateboarders, they're not thinking, oh, those rebellious kids. They're going, oh, they're a part of the skate club. You can tell by their outfits. And I don't know if that's like what skaters want, because I think America, the idea of sort of like individualism, rebellion, but maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something about being like that specifically skate culture. And I think nowadays it's harder to tell. I think everyone sort of dresses like a skater now. So what is skate culture in America when everyone kind of looks that way? Maybe it's wearing tuxedos and going skating. Maybe that's the club. And then I think there's also creating more of an objective route you can take. So be like, hey, here is a specific path. With rock climbing, you have the numbers. You have like V1, V2, V3. I actually thought about this where there's certain tricks. Maybe the amount you spin and the amount you flip is dependent on your grading system. So like V1, V2. And then the gnarliness factor is like, I forget what they call it in rock climbing, but they have a different set of numbers for when you do high climbing, like really, really high walls and rocks. And that could be the same same grading system we use for skating down stairs or handrails or hubbas. And obviously skateboarding is so beyond all this. There's so much more to it. There's so much different types of stuff you can skate, but it might be nice to have kind of like this, in 1 year you can accomplish this, in 2 years you can accomplish this. This is your grade system, and this is like the grading of a person. I know a lot of skateboarders are cringing hearing this, and maybe, you know, skateboarding being as confusing as it is what keeps it exclusive and cool. But I think if we want an industry that can make money and prosper, especially for the ones who are dedicating their lives to it and basically making $0 while working all day to build a skate shop and sell through it or sell through a skateboard website, I don't know, I think it's worth kind of maybe trying to get skateboarding a bit more exposure and maybe make it appeal to markets that we haven't made it appeal to in the past. I guess, I don't know. This is me nerding out about skateboarding. This isn't what I plan to do for all of my videos, but once in a while I do like getting into the nitty gritty of all this because I think it's interesting. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd love to hear your opinions about all this stuff. It's something I think about not as often. Now I'm actually getting way more into illustration because I need to focus more about my next path past skateboarding. It's been a really, really fun 10 years, and I think I do want to still talk about skateboarding, share the skateboarding, kind of tell stories through my adventures of the last 10 years of being a professional skateboarder and YouTuber. I feel like there's actually a lot of really interesting bits of advice, especially about like how to grow on social media, which I know people are interested in, how to maybe make money doing something that you love that might be kind of niche like skating. I don't know, these are all topics I'm interested in, and anytime I think of a topic, I think I'm just gonna make the video now and maybe play skateboarding on the side. Hopefully I've been doing that in this video. If not, then I plan to do that in the future. But that's it. If you want to check out some of my illustrations and things I've been making, you can check out the link in the description down below. I've been updating the Squadbots website a lot. That's sort of like all my art stuff. I also am a workaholic, so I've uploaded a lot of products very quickly. So check it out. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. Take care, progress daily, and keep killing it.